You've got my attention. I promise I won't even blink. I actually don't think I even can blink. Do I have eyelids?
Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is John, and today we're going to be talking about the 2016 animated film Kubo and the Two Strings and its brand new 4K Blu-ray that just came out from Shout Factory. But before we dive into all that, if you are a fan of 4K Blu-ray reviews, movie reviews, some tech and game reviews along the way, then nothing helps this channel out more than by you liking this video and subscribing to the channel. So Kubo and the Two Strings was originally released in 2016. It's directed by Travis Knight, son of Phil Knight, who is the owner of Laika Studios and is also the founder and owner of Nike. And Phil Knight himself is actually going to be played by Ben Affleck in the movie Air that comes out in about a month. So that's pretty cool. I think you've reached the mountaintop when Ben Affleck plays you in a biographical film. More than likely, they'll just get the wrestler Sheamus to play me in my biographical film, but I would accept Ben Affleck. So Kubo and the Two Strings is probably my second favorite film from Laika Studios. They do these beautiful stop-motion animated films such as Coraline, which is my favorite, Box Trolls, Paranorman, The Missing Link. They just do some amazing animated films. My only complaint has ever been with them is I feel like their stories don't always match the incredible animation that they do. Everyone always talks about Pixar. Pixar, I think, captures the stories more often than not, whereas Laika, I feel like they get that animation. They use this incredible stop-motion animation in all their films. Some of the best I've ever seen, and up until 2022's Pinocchio, I would have said that either Kubo and the Two Strings or Coraline were probably the best stop-motion animated films of all time. And Kubo and the Two Strings, I think, is just a phenomenal film. It's got some pretty big names for the voice actors in Ralph Fiennes, Matthew McConaughey, Charlize Theron. So it's just a stacked voice cast. But that's honestly my biggest weakness, I think, is the voice actors. I don't think that Charlize Theron or Matthew McConaughey are the greatest voice actors. And this has become just a common theme throughout animation lately, is they want to just cast the biggest name actors in the voice roles when there are just some incredible voice actors out there who I think would do a better job because they're better at emoting their voice to you. Whereas Charlize Theron and Matthew McConaughey are great actors, I don't know if they're the greatest voice actors. But they do a solid enough job because this film's script is just solid throughout. The story that they're telling is amazing. It's following this young boy, Kubo, who at the very beginning of this film have escaped his grandfather and his two aunts, his mother's two twin sisters, evil sisters, as they were trying to get Kubo's other eye. They successfully got his one eye.
Losing an eye is badass. It's not badass. I have no depth perception!
But they want to get that other eye, and they killed Kubo's father, his mother's husband. So you could just tell that this is a pretty standard dysfunctional family. And now Kubo and his mother are hiding in this village. They live like on a mountaintop, this beautiful mountaintop. Kubo's mother tells him you can't go out at night. If you go into the moonlight, that's when your grandfather is going to come for you. He's going to come and send my sisters to come and get that other eye, and they're going to take you, and that'll be the end of it. So Kubo goes out every day into the village. He puts on a show because he plays this 3-stringed guitar. I believe it's called a shamisen. He's able to manipulate origami with this because he has some magic in him too. Not only does his mother and his father, but he has it in him too. So he's manipulating this origami and he tells stories with it. And the story that he's telling is basically this entire film, except for the ending, because there is never an ending. So we're going to have to watch the movie to find out the ending to this tall tale. And then when he gets back, unfortunately, Kubo's running a little late. Guess what? He gets stuck in the moonlight. And that's going to raise those two twin sisters who have been looking for Kubo all this time.
We've been looking for you for so long.
And that's what sets off our tale of this film. And I don't want to spoil too much of this film, but I do want to talk a little bit about the ending. But just to give you a basic plot of this movie, it basically is just following this huge fantasy epic throughout this entire film of Kubo, a person he calls Mr. Monkey, who used to be it was like a little wooden figure that he used to always keep with him that his mother made for him. And his mother, unfortunately, at the very beginning, once his grandfather and his two aunts come, unfortunately, it looks like she perishes in this. So now he's just being led on this journey by the Mr. Monkey, who's somehow come to life because she used her last bit of magic to bring Mr. Monkey to life, or as he just calls her, Monkey. Now, the two of them have to go on this journey, and throughout the journey, they meet someone named Beetle, who is voiced by Matthew McConaughey.
All right.
We start to peel back some layers, some things are revealed to us, some things I think that were pretty obvious, actually. I honestly, I knew this plot. I've seen this movie before. This wasn't my first time seeing it, but the first time I saw it, I was like, okay, I know exactly what's going on. It's very obvious, but I guess, this is a children's film, so it's really directed towards them, but if you're an adult watching this, you're really going to enjoy this too, because, yeah, there's some dark imagery throughout this. Those twin sisters, the first time they show up, those two witches, it could be a little frightening for some young kids. I wouldn't take like a 5 or 6 year old to see this, but kids in the range from like 8 to 12, I think this is the perfect film for them, because the plot and story are not too hard to understand, but it's going to definitely take a little bit to comprehend everything that's going on. If you are an adult watching this, I think you could see the ending to this film coming a mile away. And then another flaw I kind of have with this film is the emotional punches that they're going for, especially towards the very end, I think should have really hit more, but they kind of just move past it. They don't let it settle at all. They just kind of like, okay, this happened, now we have to move past it, and that's it. They're like, I don't know, I guess maybe because like this is supposed to be a kid's film, and they don't want to like hurt kids, but I mean, I grew up with The Lion King, and I know what it's like to feel pain, and I feel like, maybe they didn't want to do that. They didn't want kids to have that feeling that we did when we were kids growing up, and when Mufasa died, they don't want to break kids' hearts.
Long live the king.
They want to just kind of, all right, this happened, let's move past it, and that's it. And that's kind of just, I don't know, it just feels like because of that, the story and the plot don't fully work. You're just missing that gut punch that I think this film really needed to put it over the top. But it's still a really solid film. And like I said, I want to talk a little bit about the ending, because I just noticed this the last night when I was watching this. So this is going to be a spoiler warning for the very end of this movie. So Ralph Fiennes plays the Moon King, and at the very end, somehow he comes back to life, because this happens after they kill him. He comes back to life as a regular man, and he has no memory. And they tell him, like, oh no, you're this good man. You're one of the best people in the village. You do this every day. You go help this kid every day. You know where that happened? That happened in the movie Overboard. Same exact scenario. Goldie Hawn, she's a pretty evil bitch. She bangs her head, and now she has amnesia, and Kurt Russell puts her to work taking care of his kids. And that's exactly how this movie ends for the Moon King, given I think the Moon King is a little bit worse than how Goldie Hawn was, so I guess it's not the worst thing for him. He probably should have to work in this town for the rest of his life and doing anything these people ask, since he put them through hell and destroyed the village. But I just thought, you know what, they took that right from Overboard, so I thought that was pretty funny. So that's the end of the spoilers for that. I just had to talk about that. I said, Jesus Christ, somebody's a huge fan of Overboard who wrote this movie. But anyway, I really do enjoy Kubo and the Two Strings, and if you've never checked this out, I really do think you should. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like a lot of people did. This movie had a $60 million budget, and it only made $77 million at the box office. This movie, for how expensive and how long it took to make, that's kind of disappointing, and it probably deserved more, because it's a very well-crafted movie. Again, the animation is beautiful. That's the shining star. It's still a solid film, in my opinion. But today we're here to talk about this new 4K from Shout Factory, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So about last year, Shout Factory got together with Laika Studios, and they started bringing all their movies to Blu-ray and 4K. And I actually happen to have two of them now. I have the Coraline 4K, and now I have Kubo and the Two Strings 4K. So now this week they have released Kubo and the Two Strings and Box Trolls on 4K. I don't know why they all didn't come out at the same time. Maybe they just needed more time to mess around with the animation, get the discs printed. I'm not 100% sure, but they kind of came out a little bit separately. And last year they had Kubo and the Two Strings come out on just standard Blu-ray, so this year we got that 4K scan put onto here. And just like Coraline, this is some of the best animated films I have ever seen. Even before this 4K transfer, it is still incredible. But this 4K transfer with Dolby Vision and HDR10, it's some of the best I have ever seen on the 4K format. Forget it, just in general. I thought Coraline was the best. I think Kubo and the Two Strings is actually a better looking 4K. And I think that's just because, given I think they're on par with each other, but this film, because it's an epic, they travel to a lot of different areas that require a lot more animation, in my opinion, and there's a bunch of different monsters throughout this film. They actually really used a 16-foot puppet in this for that big skeleton monster. There are those eyes, those eye monsters underneath the sea, and it's got that little film so it looks like they're underwater over the screen. It all just looks incredible. And the Dolby Vision does some phenomenal work. But that's not to sell the HDR10 short, because I tested them both out. Dolby Vision, I think, is slightly better. Very slightly. The HDR10 does some Great work itself too, though. That really is just the shining star of this whole thing are the visuals. I mean, I have to probably grab the other films on 4K from Shout Factory just because, I mean, you gotta see it to believe it, how good these are. I've heard so many times from people, I don't understand why, how do you make animation better with the 4K format? Well, I'll tell you what, if you grab this, you get the old Blu-ray that came out just last year in this set, and the 4K blows that Blu-ray out of the water, and that is not a bad Blu-ray. That's actually a pretty damn good Blu-ray, but because of the deep blacks that the Dolby Vision and the HDR10 are able to hit, and that brightness increase, those colors popping off your screen, it's gonna become pretty noticeable. Especially like some early scenes in the movie, like when we first meet Monkey, and, you know, the snow's blowing around. On the Blu-ray, it kind of looks a little bit faded. You know, you kind of have a little bit of a harder time compared to the 4K, which is crisp and clear with the snow blowing around. It doesn't, like, make Monkey kind of look a little bit faded into the snow. No, you can pick out every little thing. When you get close to Beetle's suit on the 4K, you can see, like, these little dots on his shoulders, how some of the brightness is a little bit brighter on those dots compared to the other dots. And I don't think you would have even noticed that or been able to notice that without the 4K, just because of the contrast differences, how vivid and sharp everything looks. It just makes everything look so much more sharper, brighter, the resolution increase. It's all just going to pop out at you. It's going to make you, it really is going to draw your eye to these little things in the background that you never would have thought to look at. And that's all just because of this jump to 4K and Dolby Vision and HDR10. I mean, the visuals are just a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. This is probably one of the best looking 4Ks I have ever seen. So for anyone who ever has doubted getting a 4K because it's animated and you don't think that they can possibly make that animation better, I mean, listen, this will prove you wrong 110%. And now the audio on here is also really good. You get a Dolby Atmos track, a True HD 7.1. You also have a 5.1 on here. So you have plenty of choices as far as audio goes, but if you are able to use that Dolby Atmos track, again, not as good as the visuals, because the visuals I think are some of the best I have ever seen. This Dolby Atmos track is a very good Atmos track. It's just not the best Atmos track I have ever heard. But they did do a great job with the mix. Like, this movie features a couple scenes that use swords, and when they would pull the swords out, you could actually hear you making good use of your rear speakers. It would even spread it around, so like if they pulled it out, you might hear it on the left speaker, and as the sword is coming out, you can hear it traveling towards the right speaker. So just incredible audio design. I just didn't think it had as much flair as other Atmos tracks I have heard, which is strange because this is a very audio heavy film. It's not a bad Atmos track in any way, you know, it's just not the greatest I have ever heard. I would say it's like a solid 8 out of 10 Atmos track. You know, the score of this movie is very good and helps move the story along, but I just never had any moments other than some moments with the swords where I was like, wow, that is some incredible audio design. But the mix is solid. Everything comes in crisp and clear. You can put your remote down. You don't have to worry about picking that up. Once you set your volume, you're set. That's it. It's perfect. So it's still a very solid audio track. Now, I want to talk just a little bit about the casing because I did actually grab this beautiful steelbook that Shout Factory put out. And whenever Shout Factory works with other studios and putting out these steelbooks, they always do such a good job. Coraline is a beautiful steelbook. It's about the same design as that. You know, it's one finish throughout. It's like this kind of semi-gloss finish. It's not full matte, but it's also not super glossy. You know, it might pick up a little bit of fingerprints, but nothing crazy. Just beautiful. And you open it up, and there you get your 4K disc and your Blu-ray disc. You also get a little bit of paperwork, but you get artwork on the inside, and again, individual disc design. If you're going to be picking this up on 4K, I actually do recommend you get that steelbook. I think the design of the steelbooks is much better than the 4K cases. The 4K cases just seem pretty standard, nothing special, but these 4K steelbooks I think are pretty special, and I think you're going to be very happy with them if you do grab that. And I believe that the regular 4K disc is only going for $20, whereas the 4K steelbook is going for $27. So you know, it's a pretty big difference in the price. Usually, you know, you only get like a $3 to $5 area range between the 4K and the actual steelbook, but I can understand if you're trying to save a little bit of money. The discs are solid, so I don't think you need to worry as much. As long as if you're not a big fan of packaging, you could definitely get that regular 4K, and I don't think you'll be disappointed because everything else is just super solid. But I just think that this 4K steelbook is very beautiful, and especially if you have the other ones, they'll look nice on your shelf. Now, as far as extras go, they're all on that Blu-ray disc. None of them are on the 4K disc, but there's a good amount of extras on here. They're very similar to the Coraline extras, actually. You know, a bunch of featurettes kind of looking back on making this film and what everyone had to go through. It really dives into the animation and everything like that, and I think that's honestly the coolest part of this whole thing. So if you're a fan of animation and you want to see what these people had to go through to make this film, I think you'll appreciate it. I think the extras are really solid. There is also, you get the storyboards on here, and there's also an audio commentary track. It's not the greatest set of extras, but I enjoyed them. I watched a couple of them before I did this review, and you get a lot of good information from them. But again, I think you just gain an appreciation for what these animators had to go through, and I always find that fascinating, and it really does help me to appreciate. That's why I always have the hardest time knocking films. Like, I don't really give a lot of films horrible ratings, because I know that it's extremely difficult to make a movie, and watching what these people had to go through and the challenges they took on, is really hard for me to give them any sort of like negative review, because man, I know I couldn't do that. But anyway, what would I give this entire 4K on a scale of 1 to 10? Overall, I'm very happy with my purchase. Those visuals are just absolutely stunning. The packaging is stunning. The audio is solid. The extras are solid. So I'm going to really give this a solid 9 out of 10. I am extremely happy with my purchase at the price point of $28 for a 4K Steelbook, or even $20 just for a 4K. Honestly, it's a steal. At full price, it's 100% a steal. But if you can get it on sale, man, you just pulled off some highway robbery, because this is some of the best looking visuals you are ever going to see. If you wanted to show off your brand new OLED TV, I'd say pop in Kubo and the 2 strings and you will not be disappointed. And I really think that this is one of the best looking 4Ks I have ever seen. But before we get out of here today, it is Friday, and that means it's time for us to do our digital code giveaway. So if you happen to be new to the channel and maybe this is your first video, we do this every single Friday. In Friday's video, Matt or I will ask you guys 2 digital code giveaway questions. All you have to do is answer one of those in the comment section below. If you want to answer both, we're not going to stop you. And once you do enter our giveaway, you come back to this Monday's video, we will put your names on a big magic wheel. We're going to spin that bad boy 2 times, and the 2 names that it lands on, those people have their choice of the digital codes that you have seen on your screen before you today. But what are this week's digital code giveaway questions? Well, I figured in honor of animation, Laika, Kubo, and the 2 strings that I'm reviewing in this video, I wanted to ask you guys, what is your favorite animated film of all time? And then I also figured, you know what, this is a fantasy and epic film, so I figured, okay, I think I've asked this before, but it's been a while, and we have a lot of new people who went to the giveaway, but what is your favorite fantasy film of all time? Now, you only have to answer one of those questions. You don't have to answer them both. But if you do, we really appreciate it. We just like to get some movie recommendations, and we just love chatting with you guys in the comment section. It's just a lot of fun, and we have a lot of fun just bullshitting with each other and getting some movie recommendations, and hopefully we can give you guys some movie recommendations. That's really what the digital code giveaway is all about. It's just having some fun and talking some movies with you guys. And if you guys want to help out the channel, one big thing that does help the channel out, if you want to buy Kubo and the 2 strings on 4K, you can use our Amazon affiliate link that is in the description below. If you want to like this video and subscribe to the channel, we would really appreciate that. And we do podcasts now, so 2 of our videos are available on podcast form. Our Sunday's video, Let's Talk Physical Media, and Thursday's video, Half-Ass Movie Reviews. Those are always available on podcast form, so whatever podcast service you have, we would appreciate it if you subscribe to us there, gave us a 5-star rating for a couple of 5-star men, and then after you do all that, what really helps this channel out is you going out, grabbing a nice 3-string guitar, running out into those streets, playing that guitar, and telling all your friends about us.